That's right. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to milestone episode 1600 of Toronto Mike. Yeah, 1600. Saved it for you guys.
That's amazing.
40 by 40.
Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Season 7 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning podcast from Monaris, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making their Toronto Mike debut so we can dive deep into the history of GUH. It's Blake, Howard, Andrew Henry, and Jason Clark. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us all the way down in your basement at number 9-2. Am I allowed to say that? Since
No,
you
that's
said
that's doxation. No, just you're in South Etobicoke.
I just said 9-2. I didn't say the street.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
92nd Ave.
Yeah.
Good to see you. That's you, Blake. I want to let the people know like what voice belongs to whom. So that's Blake Howard's voice I'm listening to right now. So say hello again, Blake.
Yeah, one more time. Hello.
All right, Andrew, let's hear you for a moment. Andrew Henry.
I'm Andrew Henry.
And you came the furthest to be here, right? You came
I'm
from
part
Guelph.
of the Guelph contingent.
How long a drive was that for you, buddy?
It was only an hour.
Okay.
It was a nice drive today.
Is that good? It's probably harder to get here from like Scarborough than from Guelph, I bet you.
Well,
You don't have to
I don't know, but I do like the new HOV lanes.
Okay, no, great. And then we did have a little threat, right, Andrew, that there might be some like frozen rain out there, and it hasn't arrived yet. So here's hoping you get home before any frozen rain follows you.
Thank you very much. Here's hope.
That's my hopes for you, my friend. Okay, Jason Clark, how you doing, Jason?
I'm doing all right. And it must be known that the voice of Andrew Henry was the spokesman for the Upper Canada Brewing Company. So you might recognize his voice from radio already.
From 30 years ago.
Well, no, I was listening to radio 30 years ago. Let's hear a little more. Like, would you do a slogan? Like, what would you say?
Well, I would have said Frank Heaps on the Global Village. Or
Wow, he was the Global Village? Or he was just
Frank
on
Heaps
it? He was on it.
Buying locally.
Which brewery was this?
That was Upper Canada Brewing Company.
And how many years did you spend in the brewery industry?
30 years.
And you're no longer in the industry?
I am no longer in the industry. My body told me to
stop.
To stop.
Step away.
But you still drink. So you want to crack open your Great Lakes beer right on the mic there. And by the way, you have great pipes. I'm jealous of your pipes, but right on the mic.
I've got a face for radio.
All right, Andrew Henry has cracked open a Canuck Pale Ale. I'm going to crack open one as well. I'm going to join you, Andrew. What do you think as a professional brewer? Cheers to you, my friend. What are your thoughts on Great Lakes Brewery and their craft beer?
Oh, they're legendary veteran brewers. They've been around forever.
Since 87, I think.
That's not true. 87 is not forever now.
Blake's
Stop
calling you out on your
speaking like
bullshit
that.
there.
Same as like Golan Heights, now and forever. Come on.
What was that?
Oh, you were going to say that Great Lakes brews a delicious fresh
Oh
craft
yeah,
beer.
even when I worked at Upper Canada, it was a going concern, and they've survived this long, and they've not only have they survived, but they've thrived, and they make great beer, and they have very good brewers, some of whom I know, whose names I can't.
Mike Lackey. He's
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, like
Peter
Mike
Bullitt
Lackey.
owns the place, of course. His father started it up.
Mike's the guy I know.
Yeah, Mike Lackey.
But I haven't seen him in years. But when I started working in the brewery, this is not supposed to be about me.
It's working.
This is 90 minutes on Great Lakes. Go ahead.
When I started working in the brewing industry in '91, there were 6 microbreweries. One of them being Great Lakes.
Wow.
And when I left, there were like 400. And that's just in Ontario. Sorry.
That's just
Ontario.
in south of Etobicoke. There's like 400 breweries. All right, so that's good to know you're from the industry and you give a thumbs up to Great Lakes, because whatever Great Lakes is not consumed during this recording will go home with, well, you guys have to divvy it up yourselves, but it could go home to Guelph with you. So you're in good shape there. All right, let me talk to Blake for a moment, then we're going to get back to you, Jason. But Blake, how far did you have to travel to get here?
You know, I didn't have to travel far, just 25 minutes from around Bloor and Lansdowne.
Okay, I knew the Galaxy Donuts at Bloor and Lansdowne is where you would go to get your drugs in the early 90s.
That's right. There are drugs still there, not at Galaxy, but I think there are drugs still
they just
there.
sell drugs exclusively.
They put it in the donuts.
Yeah.
To throw
That's
you.
right.
Because I worked at the Galleria Mall, which
Oh,
is
you
not
did?
too far there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I remember that Galaxy Donuts at Lansdowne and Bloor.
You worked very near to the birthplace of GUH, actually.
Okay, this is all going to come full circle because once I check in with Jason, we're going to get back to the Geary Street art crawl and this past summer. And that Geary Street is right there too, where the Galleria Mall is. And we're going to get the origin story. Here's my promise to the listenership. Everything you wanted to know about GUH, but we're afraid to ask. It's going to be all disclosed on this episode. We're going to get the ongoing history. You're going to tell me everything, but I want to check in with Jason Clark. Whereabouts did you come from today?
I came from 3 doors down from Blake.
Okay. Oh, 3 Doors Down. That's another band, I think. 3 Doors
Or
Down.
3 doors up. I thought it was 3 doors up because you're more
in the
north.
numbers. Yeah, I guess
but
that
Yeah,
three
because
doors
down is towards the lake, right?
I mean, Jay has got a different idea. He's thinking it is 3 doors down when you
Yeah.
are going.
So let's start by finding out what instruments you each play in GUH, and then we're gonna get some of my GUH questions answered and get this origin story. But Jason, what instrument do you play?
I play guitar.
Okay, you're a guitarist.
Yes.
Amazing. And what about you two gentlemen, Blake and Andrew?
we have ended up on the drums.
How many drummers in GUH?
At least 2, but usually 3. I think. Well, 3. There are 3 of us,
Yeah.
but one of us is a floater.
And there's also other ones that appeared. Other drummers appear in GUH. And I would say that all of GUH plays drums too. Like there have been recordings when everybody has played a percussion instrument.
And I have some recordings loaded up. So not only the new stuff, but just as we chat about GUH, because I'm going to assume there are a number of people tuning in right now where like, what the heck is a GUH? Like, who's GUH? I'll bet you. I know. You're looking at me like, no way. I'm telling you. So we're going to play some GUH. We're going to get the origin story. Everyone's going to know everything about GUH. But because Andrew got here first, because he had to allot like several hours to make sure he got here on time.
Yeah.
Andrew was telling me he enjoys drummer episodes of Toronto Mike. Am I right, Andrew?
I do. You've had some great ones. You had Don Pyle.
Don Pyle, Shadowy Man on a Shadowy Planet, and more.
Gene Champagne, and more. Like Don Pyle is I don't know. He's a legend. But Gene Champagne.
Gene
and
Champagne
then,
gave me these teenage head drumsticks. If you guys haven't heard of it.
Whoa.
But my favorite one was Brian McCullough. Youth. He was he's a big one for me.
He's a big one for you. Amazing. Now, I mentioned the Geary Street Art Crawl. So this is like a free event. It's a very cool happening, not very far from Dufferin and DuPont, where the Galleria Mall is located, and where I worked at the Food City for 5 years. Yeah. Okay, shout out to the Food City, which then I was there when it became a Price Chopper, and I think it might be like a Freshco now. What is that now?
You're right.
Isn't it a
exactly
gigantic, huge building now? Isn't?
Well, they're working on it.
They are. Yeah, some people are in there already. There was already a fire there, so that's amazing.
Okay.
They're already doing
Welcome
That's
that.
to
like
the
a baptism. It's a baptism here.
Yeah.
So I'm at the Geary Street Art Crawl with my wife, and I don't know how many of my kids were there. I think at least one. I don't know. And then we were there with Cam Gordon, who's an FOTM Hall of Famer, and his wife, MF. I cannot disclose her true identity. And we're there to see GUH at the Geary Street, the park there, the parkette there. And you guys, did anyone in GUH see us like lollygagging around or anything like that?
I did.
Okay, so so what did you say? You said, "Oh, that's the guy who talked to Don Pyle." Like, is that?
I said, yeah, that's the Toronto Mike guy, and yeah.
And then you reached
and
out to me.
he does a good podcast, and so I reached out.
And you're like, you checked the catalog. Have I done the GUH deep dive yet? And you're like, no. And then this is an opportunity to do just that. There's not a lot of definitive information on GUH on the internet. Are you guys aware of this?
Yeah, yeah.
When you put "ga" in the bar up there, sometimes you end up in Ethiopia. Sometimes you end up in Jamaica, definitely. But yeah, "ga" doesn't often take you to information about this band. But if it does, the information is sometimes obscurational or whatever. But it is. There's a little bit of information. But
who's best of you three gentlemen to start us off with the GUH origin story? I believe we're going back to 1991 now. I think I'm at the Galleria Mall in 1991. But who's the best to start us off here?
I guess that would be me because I was there.
And you have the best pipes.
GUH pipes.
But there's an address, a famed address, 96 Lapin Avenue, which is butts right up against the Galleria there, in the back alley. And a bunch of us lived there. Some of us were in college, some of us were in university. Some of us weren't even there yet, but it was just a house full of guys, mostly from Belleville, actually.
Really?
There's a big Belleville connection for this band. So there was a band in Belleville called No Sad, made up of a bunch of guys, in which I was in just briefly. But that band kind of broke up because we were just high school kids. Everybody all went off to university and everything. We all ended up in Toronto a year later. And we're like, we got to do something. So we started playing, and it was just your basic rock band with bagpipes. And we were trying to be a punk rock band. I don't know if we succeeded or not, but we were trying with bagpipes.
Right. Are all three of you members at this time?
No, at that time it was just me and a guy named Ruben. And Ruben actually was in a band called Glue Leg.
I've done a Glue Leg deep dive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on a
Well,
second.
if you've done a Glue Leg deep
Just
dive, you must have heard of GUH before.
You know what? It's funny because my GUH awareness.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, like my GUH awareness really kicks in when Cam Gordon and I had a long chat about GUH, like this legendary Toronto band, and I realized how little I know about GUH. And here we are today to satisfy that. What were you going to say there, Blake?
I'm just going to say this. So I played in Glue Leg, or they were called Sundog, or they were called Subject to Change in high school.
Or Full Fathom 5.
Full Fathom 5 or anything like that. But Ruben Huizinga was the person that I played with in these things, and he lived in this house, 96 Lapin,
Wow.
with Andrew, who also played in like Pink Floyd's The Wall production by Dorian Williamson. Anyways, I moved into the house. I was 19. That's the number again, number 19. And I just moved in there after my parents bought a new house, and I moved out of that one, and I lived there for a week. And this is my remembrance of what the beginning of GUH was, because I moved into the house with these people they say are all from Belleville. Some of them are from Belleville.
Right.
Some of them are in university or college. I wasn't in any of those things and didn't come from Belleville. But I noticed that the music that they played was pretty incredible.
Wow.
And thought after the first gig, you might be coming to the first gig, but I just had to say that the way that this house was composed was slightly like Andrew is talking and slightly like I'm talking. And Jay doesn't get to speak yet, but he's about to speak about how the rest of it comes together.
Okay, let's hear from Jay.
I came to the house in 91, but you guys had already played.
Yeah.
And you was already formed. And I came up because I was playing some music with one of their roommates that wasn't in the band, Ron Kelly. And
How many people lived in this house?
There was a bunch of us.
I had no idea
It's
at
like
the
a
time.
commune.
At one point,
Yeah.
Tom Green was living on our couch.
Really?
The weekends. Yeah.
That's a fun fact.
What about the other guy?
Because we had the Jody Moore. There's a guy named
Jody?
Jody Morris who
Yeah.
used to be on You Can't Do That on Television, if you remember
So was
that.
Alanis Morissette was on that show.
Well, yeah.
And she was living in
that
her
was our
house as a
connection.
stripper. That was there, and she would go to the
Yeah.
basement sometimes.
There was, is that the stripper that looked like Roger Daltrey?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, okay.
There was a stripper that lived in the house.
But it wasn't Alanis
It wasn't
Morissette, 'cause I
Alanis
can't, you know what? I
Morissette.
can't have the fiction in this definitive history, or no one's going to believe any
Okay,
of
we're
it.
blowing that part
Yeah.
out. That part is
I'll
gone.
fix that one in post.
There you
But Jay, so you're there. By the way, I just searched my own little archives here to say that my episode of Glue Lake, I want to make sure I have the right guys, okay? Because sometimes with these bands, I get these guys, and I was like, oh, that guy was just like hanging around with the band, wasn't even in the damn band. So if people want to hear the definitive history of Glue Lake, which of course will reference GUH, 1238 is the episode number to go to. And it was Carlos Alonso, and Christian Simpson. They are founding members of Glue Lake, and they came on to basically bury me.
Christian Simpson is not a founding member. What the?
Well, here, this is your moment.
He's a fantastic drummer.
He is incredible.
He's
but I
posing,
played
so
in
it's
that
Carlos
band before. Yeah,
Alonso is a founding member.
totally.
And then Christian comes later.
Yeah, after I flake out and say, Carlos, I can't play in this band any longer. And he goes, well, good. You want to be playing at the Cameron House when you're 28? And I was like, yeah. And then every time I play at the Cameron House, I always think of Carlos Alonso, and I go, now I'm 52. I'm playing at the Cameron House. What am I supposed to do?
Shout out to John Bora. Okay. Who named it GUH?
That would be me, I guess. I don't know if that's a thing to admit to. Henry, our bagpipe player, and I both kind of co own the naming the band. But it's named because we were sitting around one day. I don't know what we were doing. We were probably drinking and being 19-year-olds or 20-year-olds, whatever we were. But we were listening to Slayer. Which was on the CD player, and the was the guitar sound.
That's right.
And I was like, "Oh, that sounds amazing!" Good. And
You're gonna take Jason's job if you keep that up.
Oh, it was already taken.
So we're named after a Slayer riff. That's good.
Amazing. It's all caps for GUH. Like, this is important for branding, right?
It goes through state. I mean, it can be written any way you like.
Electrical tape.
Yeah, just not backwards.
Because that is hug.
Yeah, and that's not us.
Okay.
Because otherwise, when you see live GUH or live GUH, then it's hug evil, and then it's not like live evil and all of that. It's just like hug evil, and it's like, no, do not embrace evil, because look around right now.
So now we're capturing the origin story. I will read a couple of notes that came in when you were coming on here, but I have a question. How did you decide? So how many members are currently in GUH, like as we speak in 2024?
That's a hard one.
It is hard to say.
But I'm going to say 10?
You guys concur?
I'm just guessing.
Well, there's some people that
Jay
haven't been playing with us lately, but they're by no means considered not a part of the band.
Mhm.
So there's, Scott Good and Jay Baird and amongst others.
When
Brian
everybody
Cole.
shows up, we swell to like a 14 or 15.
How many were at that
we
Geary
bloat.
Street? Yeah, you bloat. How many were at the Geary Street Earth Crawl?
Wait, was there 11, I think, that day?
Was Robin there?
Robin was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of notes that came. I'm just curious. So here's my question. Right, I've got Mike. Remember your questions. But how did you decide? Because I said I got 3 mics. I got 4 mics, but I wanted one for myself. But that's cool. But I said I got 3 mics. How did you decide which 3 members of GUH would be in the basement here today for the definitive history?
Oh,
It's kind of funny because Andrew said, do you want to come? This is Blake. And he said, you want to come? And I said, yes. And it was going to be Henry, the bagpipe
Yeah.
recorder,
Henry
ooey
Louis.
player, and vocalist.
Right.
And Andrew. And then I was going to come. But then I saw Jay, and I was like, Jay has to come there because he can remember things. But he told me in the car he can't remember a whole bunch
Okay,
of
you made a
stuff.
huge mistake then.
Exactly.
You made a huge mistake here. So a guy named, okay, these are handles on Blue Sky, most of this, okay. Hazardous wrote in and said, who are you having? Craig? Last I saw him was at Bill Bolton hockey rink after the Santa Claus parade. He had gone from managing to bass player at the time. So maybe we start talking about some of these people who aren't here, but tell me, who's Craig?
Craig is our current bass player, but he's also our longtime manager and probably the reason why we still exist after 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of the heart and soul, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, but he's definitely the administrative heart and soul of the band.
He's the guy that gets the most anxiety of all of us.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And we thank him for taking that on. And he, like ourselves, is amazed that he has been able to do any of this stuff. when you speak.
He's the buffer between us and our public.
Wow. And it is since 1991. Now, there's more from Craig. Not from Craig, sorry. There's more from Hazardous. Hazardous says, I remember years ago when Henry's sister would have awesome summer parties in the courtyard by Queen and Dufferin.
Which sister?
Yeah, like Henry's whole family would have awesome courtyard parties everywhere. Sometimes they weren't in courtyards, I guess, but
The
but that's
basement
a
of
true
Bartlett.
statement that he said. It's a
So who's Henry? Because not to be confused with Andrew Henry.
Yeah.
Henry is our bagpipe player, and Henry is the Henry and I and Julian and Ruben from Glue Leg are the 4 original members.
Yeah.
Originale.
Here we go.
3 of us from Belleville and 1 of us from Glue Leg.
Which is someplace up near Tottenham, but maybe near Alliston, but maybe out there somewhere near another place that Ruben was building log houses and stuff. But Ruben, you can't tell him where he's from, or he can't tell you where he's from.
Eventually, Glue Leg was getting successful, so Ruben wanted to go concentrate on that. We needed another guitar player, and we got Jay Clark here.
And Jay Clark joins the fold here. Now, Functioning in the Junction, I think that's a cool handle. Functioning in the Junction writes in, now hold up. You're not having violinist extraordinaire Fiona Stewart out of the Love aria?
Did you not hear the Taliban rules? Like, no women speaking. Come on.
Functioning in the Junction says her sound is so important to the whole experiment. So why is Fiona not here? Obviously, that's a joke, right? The woman.
No, it's not a joke. It's actually happening in part of the world. So,
But it's
But not in this
happening with
basement.
us. Fiona's not.
So we think.
Fiona's not here because she's busy.
She's busy, Fiona
Yeah, but
Stewart. So tell me about Fiona.
She's amazing, and she does contribute. She is right now one of the main contributors. Like she's writing a lot of music. She plays fiddle.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I play with her in a couple bands actually, and she's very good. And she's very imaginative, and I love playing with her.
This collective here, like
She's new though. She's only been in the
Fiona
band about
Stewart.
20 years.
She wasn't at
Oh.
the Tin Avenue.
she's still the rookie. You're still hazing Fiona Stewart.
yeah, as you can tell from all of that. I did try to join her band called Reflectio Stack one time we were playing. I was trying to remember Saigon Palace or not that place, Club Shanghai. And she refused. She said, no, you can't be in here. And then later went, why did I do that? And I was like, I don't know, because it was weird, and you didn't want me playing in your band.
Yeah, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
That's right.
You played with her in the Rock Thoughts.
Yeah, finally she'd let me play with her. But at the first meeting, no, it was too much.
So am I right that Jason Clark here joins the band in 91? So he might not be there for day one, but he's there like...
He's there within the first year.
Within the first year? Yeah. I would have thought it was about a year.
Yeah.
Maybe about a year.
You know, we need the details because as we speak, Rosie Gray T.O. is on Wikipedia creating the definitive GUH page.
Okay.
I would say it's 92, like, because we're so...
Yeah.
92 is probably my first gig. Yeah.
Yeah, our first gig was October 26, 1991, up at Nags Head North.
Of course.
Nice.
Opening for Glue Leg, actually.
And the police.
All right, shout out to the
Hello.
police
And
picnic.
then I think about a year later when we did our first tape, or first album, or
Funky
tape or whatever.
Baby Mad Star.
It is Fanky.
Fanky. Oh my God!
Fanky.
You know what? Where's my glasses? Okay, my apologies. So this is so as we walk
You
through
want
the
it?
history in 1992, in June 11th to be precise, Fanky Baby Mad Star. This is a cassette you guys released.
Recorded by
Brendan McGuire.
Brendan McGuire at Pallid Bat Studios.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, see that's why Jay's here. He does have the details.
I wasn't there.
Oh,
You had just joined the band. Ruben was playing on the record, but you
That's right.
you like, and Brian had just joined the band.
Yeah.
We have to talk about Brian now.
yeah. Talk about Brian.
Our bass player was going to University of Toronto,
Yeah,
I believe,
that's
for
right.
music.
That's right.
And he met a guy there named Brian who played trumpet. And our bass player named Julian Brown, who is now actually our guitar player, but at the time he was playing bass. He invited Brian to come to one of our rehearsals, and he did. And then he was in the band forever. And he changed the band a little bit. We got a little bit more, open-minded.
He was, yeah. He had all sorts of encouragement. That's what his main form of expression was, encouragement. And he wrote music, and he encouraged all of us to write music. And since we are all different people, different music came out.
He was older than us. He was about 10 years, or maybe 8 or 9 years older than us. So he seemed a little bit more, well, not mature. No. But I don't know, knowledgeable or something. He was at university.
What do you say about all this, Jason?
I met Brian at a Christmas party in August of 92.
That's when you have your Christmas parties.
Yeah.
At La Pin Avenue. That
Yeah.
was the first time
Yeah.
I'd ever been to a summer Christmas
Yeah.
party. And Brian was there, and I was drawn to his combination of a tweed jacket and lime green long shorts. And he, I remember meeting him, and I remember him right through for the whole ride.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great and fortunate luck that Julie and Brian got to meet each other at U of T. That's for sure.
I think it's difficult to write music for a band that has so many different instruments, especially bagpipe, which is
Doesn't have a lot of music written for it.
And Brian was able to write music for an ensemble with a bagpipe, which is difficult, and he did it. And he did it very, 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 very well.
Okay, so in the consideration of time, because I do want the definitive history, but I don't have several hours, but I realize it's going to be long, okay? So we are going to, so essentially, you guys just start barking when there's something significant you want to share, and I'll kind of jump through some milestones, and then I'll get to some music, and then, because I know in 93, you record the Orange Label cassette, right?
So that's right. That is something that's recorded maybe at Reaction Studio.
Yeah,
Is that
Reaction.
right? And there's many people that you come across now when you're in now that go, yeah, I remember Reaction, or I even worked at Reaction and all sorts of things. So it was a studio that maybe the Rheostatics played and recorded at, and we thought GUH can record there. And so we did that.
We did.
Yeah.
Orange Label cassette, like, is that essentially to be like the yellow tape or something? Like,
I don't think we called it the Orange Label cassette then. I think it's been called that in retrospect.
Each of us made covers, our own individual covers, a bunch of them. There's still one that I have in my house. Maybe other people have them in their houses. None of us have a copy of that tape that I know. But
Is it on the Bandcamp though? Is that copy of that?
it is. Somebody gave me that to at least put on, but maybe they just gave me the files. Maybe Craig Barnes has it.
Well, can I ask, speaking of fire, I'm not here to shame anybody, no shaming at all, but Andrew, I was messaging with you about this visit, and I said, can you send me some MP3s? And you said you didn't know what an MP3 was. Is that true? Like, is it possible?
Yeah, I know it's something to do with music, and I know it's something.
Okay. Only because I thought you were putting me on.
No,
right?
you know that
I'm
people when
not.
they go, I don't watch TV. Like when you were a little kid and they go, I don't watch TV and stuff. That's the same as Andrew is doing now.
But
I
if
don't
you
even
worked in
know.
TV, here's my thing. I understand there's
You know
many
that,
people who
right?
don't know what an MP3 is, except they're not musicians for decades, right? Like musicians typically know like what an MP3 is because they know what
Drummer.
a CD is. Drummer. Okay. Do you believe him, Jason? He didn't know what an MP3 is. I think he's putting me on.
He has no clue.
Do you know what it stands for? MP3?
Yeah, it's a protocol, so it's like I can't remember off the top of my head, but I used to know the
Why?
answer. Do you know?
No, because I thought it was Music Player 3. And I was like, why 3? And then
Right.
I think it's music file, but it's
File,
a
that's right.
PHIL.
Like McFile. McPhail.
Well, regardless, though, I got these MP3s, so great. Shout out your Bandcamp page, so as you know, people can take a note now as we continue. Like, where would we find GUH music if we wanted to buy it?
It is Bandcamp. I guess you go Bandcamp and then you just
Search GUH?
search GUH in capital letters, and then you'll go to Ethiopia and you'll go
Don't
to
do lowercase.
and then you'll go to Jamaica, and then you might find GUH Music 1 or something on Bandcamp, and all of the recordings that have been given to me,
you have.
I tried to put on there.
And I'm going to play some soon. But in 93, you record that tape, but it actually is released. The Orange Label cassette gets released in 94. Can you tell me a little bit about 94. There's a trip to Europe here for GUH.
Right. Well, that'd be Blake and Jake.
Okay, who went to Europe and how was that?
Brian Cram was in Europe already with a family trip with his father and his brothers, and they were climbing. Is it Ben Nevis?
Ben Nevis.
The mountain there, and then so we decided, well, let's go to Europe, and we can meet up with Brian and do some touring. So Blake and myself and Henry Muth, we got plane tickets and we flew to Amsterdam.
Woo!
Yeah, in 19...
I've been there.
From Travel Cuts on College Street. There used to be the Travel Cuts there, right by Spadina. That's what I remember.
I remember
May
I went
of
to UT. I
94.
remember it well. Yeah, I was there. I remember it very well. So you go to Amsterdam, and there's what? Like the GUH Quartet basically is busking in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, we didn't really get a chance to busk in Amsterdam. We may have played a little bit, but we ended up in a campground that was. I keep trying to locate it, and I do locate it on like Google Maps, but I couldn't tell you the name of it. But sometimes I do find it, and it still looks very much the same. There's little cabins, and we stayed in one of them. We wrote letters back to Andrew that he may have or may not have. I don't know, but.
Wow. Okay. So here, as I bring us through the mid '90s here, I'm gonna play. I think it's due time that we get to a little music here. Okay. So let's listen.
Wow.
They're like, okay, now I know what a GUH is. Okay, here we go.
That's a great intro.
What is this?
Yeah. What is this, Blake?
This one? What's this song called? What goes like this?
Chateau Gang?
Yeah, Chateau
Yeah, that's
Gang.
it. That's it.
That's right. From Triple CD number 3. Jason Clark. wrote it.
Jason Clark wrote this masterpiece. Okay, so tell me about Triple CD. Tell me everything you can. We're in '96 now.
Yeah, I mean, we're in 1995 a little bit
Okay.
here. So,
Yep.
It's
yeah.
we recorded it over like a year and a half at
Right.
a few different places, including I think Dallas.
Yeah,
Good
he came
did
in.
some of it.
Yeah, he came into your place, so it
Yeah.
says July 16th, which is another amazing date because we recorded live GUH at the Pender Island Community Church on July 16th, 99, but we recorded tracks 9 to 11, of course, or something, July 16th, 1995 in the Moet Street, Andrew's place, and Dallas Good was behind
Dallas
the
good.
board.
I'm so sorry for your loss there, losing Dallas. It was
Yeah.
so
Well,
shocking.
we all lost Dallas. We all suffered that loss. Canada did.
I had his uncle over to talk about the Good Brothers. So Brian
amazing.
came over.
Well,
that was
amazing.
cool. So what a musical family that is here. Another triple. So okay, so that sound, but I got to get another. Hold on here.
This is also recorded in the same place, in Andrew's place, I think. And we would sometimes play so much music that we needed a break, and we played more music in our break. But we went to a different part of the place that had a piano in it. It was a beautiful little like alcove. I remember it candlelit, and a piano was there, and Andrew would play the piano, and I had a dinkily little glockenspiel that's not a, it's just a fake one, so-called.
And a carrot flute.
And the carrot flute is being
Oh, yeah.
featured here. So this is the break song when we would take a break.
This
Okay.
is it? Am I playing piano?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I was amazed. You could-
Talented mofo over there. What's
Yeah.
going on here? Not just brewing delicious beer over there. Come on. So
This is a while ago.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we're still in the triple end here. So in '96, you guys, you mentioned live. That's at Music Gallery and also the Rivoli, right?
That one is, from a CD called L'autre nuit, the other night. This is and it's way back '96. Andrew Henry decided he didn't want to play with GUH anymore for a
Wait,
second.
this is shocking.
Just for a
Remember, I'm
second.
learning. I don't have my notes telling me like the.
I was in a chair when he told me I might have tried to talk him out of it, but he didn't care. Just like I didn't care when Carlos Alonso was like, "What, you want to play?" And Andrew was like, "I gotta not play for a second." And
I tried to leave the band.
So why did you
I
want to
moved-
leave GUH?
Well, I moved to Vancouver because of a girl,
Oh yeah.
my wife now.
Well, that worked out.
Yeah, it did work out.
Take that, Taliban.
And then I moved home, and I found out that you can't quit GUH because
It's in your blood. What's going on there?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Is it like
how
the mafia? Like you can try to, you can leave, but you know
think-
they pull you back in.
I think it's kind of like that.
And-
I tried to leave, but when I moved home, I was pulled back into the fold, and that was what 2002 or 2003? No, maybe 2005 or 6 or something.
We came and saw you at the Storm Brewery in 1999, and then
Yes.
I think we realized that you would be back sometime.
Yes. I failed in my leaving.
You
I
tried.
succeeded in my staying.
Yes, you did.
So yeah, in Vancouver. So when did you come back to Ontario? That's when you're saying.
That would have been like 2001, but then
Okay.
I lived up north for a little while. Not up north, but like Powassan and Bracebridge.
How often do you guys get together now these days?
I think I mean maybe once every 2 months, and sometimes it varies.
It very. We have a bunch of gigs during the year that are now turning into like regular. We do it every year. You know, like Geary Street, we seem to, and the
Yeah.
Guelph Jazz Festival, we seem to.
The 29th of December seems to always happen.
Yeah, we always when we are this
Somewhere.
year again. We're playing at the Handlebar December 29th.
Okay,
So
tell me a
we-
bit about that. Wait, before you just let the people know. So where, if we want to see God, like it's, I find it difficult to describe what, like it's like this collective, is it eclectic collective, which is hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a collective, but it's.
Okay.
You better believe
am
we
I?
were once involved in a collective called the Collective Unconscious Collective, which
That's true.
also has people who have passed away. People have moved from this plane, they are now part of the Collective Unconscious Collective, even though they were part of it here. But yeah, it's not a collective in the sense that we aren't.
There's no mandate.
Stuck together so much. Exactly. We haven't shot a CEO in the head
Not
with
yet.
our ideas, but yeah, I keep referencing things that are happening in the news. That's just to put us in a time period. Don't worry. I don't believe anything. Don't worry.
Look, we got to let people know we're recording in December 2024. We'll see how all this ages.
That's
but,
right.
Brezhnev is the president.
Brezhnev is president.
To the original question,
Yeah.
we get together to rehearse maybe once every couple of months.
and
4 years.
And what was that date though? You said December 29.
December
29th.
29th. Yeah, we always
Where?
play on December 29th.
Okay, that's a big day. That's like your Festivus or whatever.
Yeah.
Where are you going to play?
The Handlebar.
In Kensington Market.
Okay, very exciting. We should kind of have like I'm thinking Toronto Mike listener experience events at GUH shows. That sounds pretty cool to me. So a few highlights I want to hit. So in mid 90s here still, like 96. No, yeah, 96 you guys go to New York City. Like in 97 there's a New York and a Chicago trip. Like what can you tell me about these road trips here?
They are funny, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's a Suburban maybe involved in it. Brian Cram's family Suburban.
Maybe it
And that's a
breaks down
car.
on the side of the road in
Yeah.
Indiana.
Maybe.
Broken radiator. Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what happened. There's a postcard in my basement where I try to write my wife about it, and I draw a picture of a guy who is the tow truck driver, and he asks us for an ink pen. I remember that part. It's like Bob Dylan. I need an ink pen, and that's just to write about how disappointed he is.
And we were all asleep in the Suburban when the state trooper tapped on the window because it was 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun was just coming up, and we were all asleep.
We were trying to get from Chicago to New York, which apparently was harder
And
than
going
it
through
sounds.
Indiana is a smart way to go if your
Wow.
car doesn't break down.
And are you playing gigs on the way, or what's going on with the GUH component of this?
No, we played at maybe the Empty Bottle. Is that right in Chicago? Is that
Yeah, that's not the bowling alley. That's the other one, right?
Yeah.
It was the empty bottle.
the
That's
Empty
right.
Bottle?
And Blake, who's Jim Blackley?
Do you know that he is also passed from this plane, but he is a drum teacher.
Okay.
Many people studied with him. Some people tried not to study with him, but some people studied with him and didn't get along with him. Some people think that he is incredible. He is incredible in many ways, but he teaches. What he would say is he. I mean, I can't even say what he would say, but he. I started studying with him in 1997. Our friend Dave Clark was studying with him. And again, I think I am still studying with him, and I'm hopefully passing some things along to our friend Andrew here. But, basically he is a drum set teacher, but a teacher of humanity and connection.
When
in the
did he
world.
pass?
Also July 16th, if you can believe it, 2017.
2017. All right. Sorry to hear that too. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Now, Flog. So the Flog CD gets released in '97, but how do you pay for this? Like, how are you paying for the recording of the this music?
This one does say it has the gracious assistance of Ontario Arts Council. That is maybe the one time we got a grant to
Ontario Arts-
record.
Okay, so because I mean, there are artists I've had on this program who have basically hired people who are like grant application specialists. Because there's all these grants, but you need a PhD in grant application to like figure it all out. But you guys got a grant
For this
Flog.
particular recording. And I think it is the only one that we did get a grant for. We did get a grant for going on the We Are Sunburning tour in 1999. There was also a very timely grant because I think we had no money. And
Probably Craig Barnes helped us with
yeah,
that.
he totally helped us.
Okay, and this is the Play Ethic. Am I? In
Or
the right-
that,
or is that another one?
That's just that's
Okay,
a Brian.
that's a Brian
record.
Cram.
Yeah.
Okay, so We Are Sunburning comes out in '99, as you said. You released that CD, and I'm like reading about a tour out west, right? Like, is that because a member lives out there? Like, you're in Victoria, you're in Vancouver. It all makes a little more sense now that I hear about the woman in Andrew's life.
I don't think they came out just because I was there. I'm sure they enjoyed seeing me because
We did.
I'm a
Yes, we
pleasurable
It was an
chap.
incredible surprise.
Yeah, and it was so surprising that your beer exploded.
It's true. We had a
A cap
It's
off? What do
true.
you call that?
well, it's just one of the tanks blew while you were there and got beer everywhere, and it was very
amazing.
exciting.
It was exciting.
But the main thing was that you guys toured around the islands, and I think you guys had a good time. And maybe somebody lost their trumpet.
Somebody did lose their
Who
trumpet.
lost their trumpet?
Well,
Probably the trumpet
Wasn't me.
player.
One of you drummers lost your trumpet?
Yeah,
Is that
we
what I'm
lost
hearing
our
over here?
trumpet.
'Cause you're doing it wrong. That explains it all. Okay. We Are Sunburning. So you were sunburning in the Victoria, Qualicum Beach and Vancouver area.
and then all the like Galliano Island, Pender Island, where the live GUH was recorded, Pender Island, and Salt Spring Island, maybe Denman Island.
And we played a show on the rocks in Nanaimo
Yeah.
when the tide was coming in.
Yeah.
There was 2 girls there for that show.
And there's some good
Tofino.
naked shots, from,
Tofino.
naked photography from Wreck Beach, I believe. There was
Red
some
Beach, that's
good-
right.
We're working blue here. What's going on here? Holy smokes here. Okay. And again, you guys are the experts. I'm like just guiding us along here, but it's you got that live GUH CD that gets released celebrating the magic of this tour. If I got the right tour, this is in
Yeah, that's right.
1999. Okay.
That's right.
And then I think it's kind of neat that there's this New York City bike tour. Do I have this right? 2001?
This is right
This is
because
Craig Barnes wrote this, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Barnes.
Because I was biking earlier today. I need to know what's the New York City bike month
Craig
tour.
Barnes worked for a organization called Transportation Alternatives in New York, maybe based in Brooklyn, but maybe based in Manhattan. If they can tell us via the internet if we're totally wrong, but Transportation Alternatives still exists, and he got GUH
Right.
to come down
All
there
right.
and
For the
and
Century
play.
Ride.
Yeah, and play the bike races underneath the Williamsburg Bridge or
Yes.
whatever it was in a bar. They had stationary bicycles and they were racing them.
Yeah.
Craig Barnes was the bicycle ambassador
No, love it.
to New York.
Yeah.
Love it so much. Okay, now it's funny because recently I turned 50, And I had an event for my 50th at Great Lakes Brewery, actually. So it was TMLX. What number was that? 15, I think.
Mhm.
And I can see here that Brian had a 50th birthday party that coincided as a CD release party for GUH.
What does it say? What does it say?
L'autre nuit. That's my French
Oh
accent.
yeah,
for
right.
you.
That's good. And that was at like Mitzi's sister
Yeah,
or something.
Mitzi's sister,
Okay,
sure.
good. Yes, we released this one, which was old recordings from 1996 that were just found on a cassette and then mastered. So yeah, one night at the Music Gallery, May 16th, 1996. It says, and Rivoli the next night, May 17th. So we got that mastered and made into a CD, and I guess had a release party at Mitzi's sister, and Brian turned 50.
Brian turned fit, killing all the birds with one stone. Can I play more GUH?
Yeah.
I love hearing this reaction to the GUH I play.
Yeah, the bagpipe drone.
How could radio not be playing this?
Yeah,
Explain it to me.
Come on.
About time.
Yeah. They like Mary Tyler more. Come on. Why wouldn't you
Yeah.
like this?
This is
Is that didgeridoo? Is that Colin?
Yeah, sounds like it.
the sound of Dick Van Dyke getting out of bed.
No, I think it's Julian on a bowed bass along with the drone. That must be Bird of Hell. Is that
Oh, I
true?
like this one.
From the Unearthed record.
We should play this song.
Wow.
My one of my sons, my older son, said it sounds like The Mud Pit. The Mud Pit. That's when I played this in the car once, and he's like, sounds like The Mud Pit. And it was.
MP3.
What's an MP3? Okay, let me actually go to another one. I mean, I love it, but
Whoa.
sticking to the same era here.
ABA.
ABA.
That's recorded in Hornings Mills Community Center, again by Brendan McGuire. He had one day off in 2014, and we got up north of Shelburne, Ontario, in Hornings Mills, and he somehow recorded it in the, community halls are very reverb. He managed to separate all of us somehow, and there is reverb, but that's natural reverb, but we set up in there, and my parents lived just south of there, and they showed up, which was a surprise because they never showed up for anything I've ever done in my entire life. No,
if
that's
this-
not true. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, be careful what you say. This is definitive record stuff here. Now, hold on. Like if this is your cup of tea, the album you want on Bandcamp is Hotel GUH.
Yes, that's right.
All right, now this song. Who wrote this song? Do you remember?
Brian.
Cram. Okay, can we talk about Brian, please? That sad to.
Colin Couch is playing the tuba back there.
Yeah.
July 2022. There's some sadness to report from July 2022.
Is that when Brian passed? Yeah. That was a blow. That sucked. I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, we, again, still getting used to it because Brian would sometimes show up out of nowhere, so you keep thinking he might do the same, but he's not going to do that. And as Jason Baird's child said, he was supposed to come to my birthday. And, and I said, yeah, I know what you're feeling right now, kid. But, yeah, Brian, of course, never leaves, but...
We found him once on the escalator in Prague. And we were on an escalator in a subway station in Prague, and Henry and Blake and I were together, and we were going, and on the opposite escalator going the other direction was Brian goes by us.
Yeah.
And we managed to find him because on our tour we would break up and meet up in the next city.
This is Europe, 1994.
So at that time, if I'd never seen Brian again, that would have been more. I wouldn't have been as surprised as when is now.
We had been in Prague and we were supposed to all meet there, and we would go every day to the train station, and Brian would not show up at the train station. We're like, where is that guy? So Henry and Jay and I would just be doing things all day long in Prague, and no Brian. But as we were leaving, because eventually we thought we have to leave Prague, that's when Brian showed up.
Yeah.
And we went to Lago de, how do you say it? Lago de Como,
Yeah.
Italy, which George Clooney, come on, we know about you, but you didn't know about it back then.
That's right.
Ever since we lost Brian, though, I feel I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like when we play, he's often with us.
Brian is there.
He's his spirit, or his I don't know what you want to call it,
Overtone.
his overtones or whatever. He's often there, and both with Brian and with losing Brian and with losing Dallas, both of them. It did inspire me to try to play music as well as I can. I'm going to try to play good music, and I'm going to try to love and be happy doing it. So that's what they've left me, and I cherish that, and I use it all the time.
Did you guys see that Prime Tragically Hip documentary? Did anyone here see that? Yeah.
I didn't, but I see behind you it says, and to me it says the Tragically Help, which I really like that. When my eyes are
Right,
deceiving me, but I don't mind how they're doing it. The Tragically Help.
Well, there's a scene at the end where they're talking to Gord Downey's mom, and she's it's really kind of an interesting, sad scene then, where she talks about how she's used to her son going away on these long tours where she wouldn't see him in for a long time. And she said she just sort of like told herself that he's on another long tour, like he'll be back. And I always wonder, like, you just feel like Brian's gonna show up at some point, like Brian's just on one of his
Excursions.
sabbaticals.
Yes, he is on an excursion.
The big canoe trip.
I don't know if you've heard it, but Gord Downey was playing at the CBC, maybe live on CBC, and maybe some of the Rheostatics were playing behind him, and Brian, they play a Mary Margaret O'Hara song, and it's gorgeous, and Brian ends up playing is the trumpet player on this Gordon Downey.
Well, because Dallas Good did a lot of stuff with Gord when he was doing his solo.
So Dallas probably grabbed Brian and got him to come in, and I didn't know he'd done that, and when I think when Gordon Downey passed, they played it on the radio, and you know, it's a beautiful song. Gordon sings beautifully, but then this trumpet starts playing, and I'm like, oh, and then he's picking notes that aren't maybe what everybody else would have picked, and I'm like, that, my goodness, that sounds like Brian. And by the end of it, I was like, certain it was Brian, and then I looked it up, and it was definitely Brian. You know? Yeah, but if you should, I don't know the name of the song. It's by Mary Margaret O'Hara, and it's on CBC. Gordon Downey.
So what's it like recording without Brian? I mean, GUH TV, is that the next recording? Is that the first recording without Brian?
Yeah, and GUH TV was interesting because we tried to play songs, like songs with like lyrics, like.
Finally going to get on the radio.
Yeah, it was our pop record.
Time
Julian,
to sell out.
Yeah, as you can see now, we're benefiting from that.
Totally working.
Yeah, Julian, our guitar player, wrote a bunch of songs, and a bunch of the band backed him up and played it. It was the first time we kind of recorded not all at once. The bass and drums were first, and then I think vocals, and then guitar, and then it was all separate. It was kind of Julian's little pet project, and I think it sounds great. And he wrote some great songs, but it was different for us because it was kind of a vocal song based, as opposed to instrumental, which we normally do.
All right, I'm going to give you guys some gifts. You've all collected in my basement here in South Etobicoke for the definitive ongoing history of GUH, which is long overdue. Like, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having us here. Yeah.
And we're going to close, of course. Well, we're going to play some out of frame and talk about the new music, of course, 2024. There's music in 2024. Yeah. But here, there's three of you. This is going to be a lot here. Okay, so some of you drink, some of you don't, but you guys have some fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery to take with you when you leave here today. There's been some talk of loss. We've, we talked about Dallas Good, and of course we talked about Brian Cram and great loss. But I'm here to give you measuring tapes, okay? This can't make up for the loss, okay? But measuring
You wouldn't
tapes.
believe how many times this is necessary.
Okay, there should be
Measuring
3 on the table, and that's courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home. So Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of this community since 1921. So
Oh, I saw that in a movie once.
Wow. how
they
long?
shot a movie once.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Everybody gets a
Thank you.
wireless speaker from Moneris. So there's
What?
this brown
Oh, my.
box here, Blake. You got one there.
What?
Jay, you should have
Oh, I
one. I
thought
think.
that was
What?
candy.
Nope, that's a quality Bluetooth speaker you're gonna take home with you.
Boxan.
Boxan. Speaking of the police, who opened for you right now.
Yeah, that's right. Way back. Way
I got
back.
my next guest. I believe was heavily involved in the police picnic that the Garys were putting on.
Jay Clark
was
saw
there.
it. Yeah, he was there.
The second one,
Okay, the second one
Talking Heads.
in the Spoons, because I talk to Rob Pruce all the time, and the Spoons are on that bill. The first one, so this guy, anyway, I moderated a panel discussion. This is the most recent episode. So before this one, I dropped one on Friday where I moderated a panel discussion at the Red Room, which is part of the Masonic Temple. And it was Gary Topp put out a new book, and it was really all about the life of the Gary Topp and his work with the Garys. And of course, Police Picnic was a big part of that. So
It was really memorable because when Joan Jett came out, the audience started throwing things at her. And they were just ripping like oranges and apples out of cooler because you could take a cooler back to into the exhibition grounds.
Right.
And then so she had to leave the stage because she was going to get killed.
Wow.
And her band. And then Scruff Connors from Q107 came out. He gets on the mic and he goes, the next person, if you see somebody throwing something at the stage, I want you to turn and punch him in the face.
No
and if it's
kidding.
you throwing stuff at the stage, I want you to punch yourself in the face.
Scruff's son has been on this program just to
right.
basically do imitations of his
That's
dad
so-
passed away, TJ Connors.
Yeah.
And nobody threw anything after that.
But so I was a bit young. I missed out on these police picnics, but I've been talking to guys like Gary Topp and Gary Cormier, and then I got a guy coming on, and Rob Pruce, who played the second one. It sounds like you were there. Scruff Connors is a Q guy, but I would think that this would be a CF&Y presentation. Like,
That's why Joan Jett got it so bad, because she was Q. Yeah.
right, and Scruff is Q. So how did Scruff even be there to like? I am just learning now that there's a Q107 because police, they wouldn't play police on. They had a term for it, which is a homophobic term I won't use on this program. But Q107 wouldn't play the police, and CFNY would play the police. Like that's how it was.
And neither of them would play GUH.
Yeah.
You know what? That's
Although
bullshit
we
too.
were on Q107.
So when
CFNY was.
do you have any insight
Bloor
into how you
Street.
got on?
Oh, yeah.
Bloor and Bathurst. They
Yeah,
had a
we
storefront.
were on with Bookman.
Dave Bookman.
That's right.
Well,
He
if anyone's
played
going to
us.
get you on
That's
CFNY,
amazing.
it's
Yes,
Dave
that's
Bookman.
true.
From,
Yeah,
Also
we were in
gone.
the studio.
Like a shout out to CFRU 93.3 in Guelph, who's been playing us regularly these days.
That's
Okay.
incredible.
They played Flog, the whole thing one time.
Okay, but this is amazing to me to hear now that you did get played on. I think his show was called Live in Toronto with Dave Bookman, probably doing it from the
The Bloor
storefront.
Street.
Yeah, Bloor and
one.
Bathurst
Yeah,
for a while.
near Lee's Palace there.
Yeah. They were there, and then they moved to Young and Shooter, and they had a storefront there. But Bookie got you on Live in Toronto. That's amazing.
That is kind
Cookie
of
was a
amazing.
great help for everybody. That
You mentioned Real Statics a couple of times, and Bedini, dear friend of Bookie from the Bookman.
The Rios were very supportive of us in the early days. They gave us, we opened for the Rios a bunch.
Not
and,
so much any longer.
Yeah. We played at their Christmas party at the Cabana Room in the Spadina Hotel.
Yeah, that was fun. It was us and like the Real Statics and the Bare Naked Ladies and like
Little Green Man or something.
yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe Wooden Stars or something.
Maybe.
Maybe it was too early for that. But they were very. The Rios were very, very supportive. Dave Clark has written music for GUH. Yes. We have songs by Dave, and he's played a bunch of gigs with us. Dave has played with us.
Yes.
No, we got to capture all this right now. This is the moment. Okay, finally you've arrived. Here you are in my basement. Okay, but I gave. Oh yeah, why did I give you wireless speakers? You must be wondering why the hell is this guy giving me wireless speakers? Because you're going to listen to season 7 of Yes We Are Open, which is an award-winning podcast from Moneris, where Al Grego went to Winnipeg and had conversations with small business owners about their triumphs, their tribulations. Triumphing over adversity. Like small business is tough. GUH's been around since '91. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's like you guys pat yourselves on the back. 91.
Don't punch ourselves in the face.
No.
That's right.
Hey,
That's
yes.
doing
Scruff
okay.
Connor. I've got scruff stories. My goodness
I can
gracious.
imagine.
When that Listeria crisis came out from Maple Leaf, he found himself a way to get paid. Let's put it
It's
that way.
already
Okay?
funny, and I don't even know anything about it.
But I've said too much. Okay. And the late great, and he always had this term, and I borrowed it for this program. He called the listeners the listenership.
Yeah.
That was a Scruff Connors thing, and
Yeah.
I've stolen it. Thank you, Scruff. And again, shout out to FOTM TJ Connors. But okay, so season 7, yes, we are open. Great podcast. Subscribe, listen. You guys have the wireless speaker to do it. Just to wrap up, Palma Pasta. Does anyone here in GUH like Italian food?
The answer is yes.
I think yes.
Okay, 2. What about Jay?
Yes.
3 for 3. Okay. You know what? I can't believe I did this because I only can fit 4 in my freezer at a time, and now I realize I'm kind of fucked because I got a guest tomorrow and then a guest Tuesday. I got to
Wait
put
a minute,
it
you're allowed to say fuck on this show?
Well,
What is that?
much
Start
like
this
no,
over again.
much like we're not on the radio. Okay, so, okay. But I do have in my freezer. You're each leaving with a large frozen lasagna from Palma Pasta.
That's
thank you.
incredible.
It's amazing. I don't
Love
know.
it.
Hundreds of dollars of wow. So you got the lasagna, you got the beer, you got the measuring tape, you got the speaker,
That
a
is
piece of
way too
advice on
much.
the way out. So it is too much. I'm taking
That's
some of
way
it
too
back. You
much.
talk, Blake, you talked me out of it, okay? Piece of advice, and then we're gonna get to still out of frame. The piece of advice is if you guys have old electronics, old cables, old devices, don't throw it in the garbage because the chemicals end up in our landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and you can find out. Watch your head when you stand up there. Okay. Knocking over your camera here. It's okay.
Maybe unprofessional.
You know what? You know what? That's why there's 3 of you to carry the load when one of you has
Yeah,
to
that's
take a
right.
whiz or
That's
whatever.
right.
Here.
That's
Okay.
right.
Who can tell me about recording out of frame? Is it still out of frame?
Well, there's another one that will come out. Don't give it away, but you just did. But it is out of frame.
Spoiler alert. So there's 2 things going on. There's out of frame.
Yeah,
And there's still out of frame.
that's right.
Very clever. So where did you record out of frame?
So yeah, that's out on a farm north of Guelph. That Andrew, since he's gone to the washroom, we
Yeah.
can say anything. But he is
Yeah.
the guy that's out
It's
there.
on County
He's-
Road 49
Yeah,
up there.
he's out there, and with Jason Lane, that's the person that we know. But there's 2 other guys, and Andrew knows them. But yeah, he's like, let's record there. And so we took one day. We basically set up, and then we took one day with all of us, and we went through a bunch of tunes that haven't made it onto any other record. And then, yeah, on the advice of Julian Brown, who said he was taking advice from kids or something like that, we're releasing it in 2 parts. So yeah, out of frame is one part, still out of frame.
What do you
is the
mean,
next.
kids?
Well, he kept
Yeah.
saying, well, the people out there and stuff like that. It was like, which people? It's like, kids say that. And no one is making very
Kids
much
love
sense
God, right?
in this day and age, as they say, right now, kids these days, or whatever it is. But no one is making sense. But so we're doing the nonsensical, as David Byrne told us to do. Stop making sense. We have stopped it. Nobody is doing it. Everyone is mad. Everyone's crazy. The world is a piece of an oyster. Everybody is there. Nobody is there. All of that is true. Yeah, still out of frame.
You said kid a few times, and I thought maybe you're talking about Distro Kid. Watch your head there, buddy.
That's another thing. Julian was like, put it on all the streaming outfits. I was like, I hate all this. I hate those. And and again, I love everything, but I really can't stand it. You know what I mean? And then, yeah. So that's on. That's the voice of the devil. And so, anyways, there we are. We're out there available
Out
for
of
you
frame.
to stream. if you
Bandcamp and
Still
through
out of
Distro
frame.
Kid.
Not yet.
I think the streaming services. Yeah, you can get that on the regular. We wanted to make a record
Plus,
that sounded
You
like
can
us
divide it up
live.
into as many records
Yeah,
as
it's
you
about
like.
20 billion records now. If you want it to be just little bits and pieces of each.
Yes.
And you recorded this in Guelph? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, outside of Guelph at Turtle Shell
Turtle
Studios.
Shell.
There we
which
go.
is a great,
Some real
great
information.
studio.
Breslaw, they say.
Well, shout out to Ian Service, good friend of mine in Guelph who helps us out with the program. Okay, so Turtle Shell, you recorded this in late July.
It was very hot.
Yeah, that's true.
It was very, very hot.
sweaty.
It could have been hotter.
And there was bugs.
And we wanted to capture what we said. Like we've done a lot of recordings, as you know,
Sure.
over 30 years. But we wanted something that sounded like us live. Like there's a certain.
Which is insane because every one of our records sounds exactly
Yeah, like us live.
Well, I think this one captures
Still.
the.
Well, let
I
me
don't know.
let's listen a little bit here.
Listen, does this sound more like us live, or
the
does
other
it?
stuff.
Who wrote this song?
That's Fiona.
Too busy for me, Fiona. Do you know the name of this song?
The thousandth night.
Thousandth night.
Yeah.
Thousandth night.
Hey.
1000th night it could be. The 1000th night. The 1000th night.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring her down because I want to actually hear one more cut here.
This one's by Brian Cran. Posthumous.
Posthumous release.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best here. So we've already established that. By the way, is it Breslau? Is that what you're calling?
Yeah,
this?
that's the name of the
It's
town.
it's barely a town. It's like a region. It's out near the. It's out by the airport in Kitchener.
For 2 years, my son went to Laurier. There's my connection to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But
And there is a Breslau in Europe that you will be astounded by when you go to make the connections in your own mind about what the hell is Breslau.
so here's what I believe in my crack research. Here's who I believe we'll hear on this album here. Which, by the way, again, people can go to Bandcamp and search GUH, G-U-H, and then you can grab Out of Frame, which is a recent release. And you can see GUH live on December 29.
That's right.
I'm keeping notes over here.
You
Listen,
are.
I'm
Every
a
year.
professional.
That's
I'm a
good.
professional. Every year, December 29, everybody will show up somewhere. Okay. Henry Muth.
Yeah, Muse.
He's
maybe.
How do you say it, Muth?
would
There's a
say
Gary
Muth,
Muth
maybe.
that I recently came up on an episode of Toronto Mike. I think Jeff Silverman mentioned it, but maybe they're related. But he's bagpipes. Is that what Highland War Pipes? I think.
Yeah,
is the
those.
proper-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those are the names.
Cool. Shout out to groundskeeper Willie. Okay. Fiona Stewart. I mean, I see violin, but the fiddle, basically, I suppose. What is the difference? Who can tell me the difference between violin and fiddle?
Can you do it? Do you know how to do that?
I don't know. Does a fiddle play country? And a
Can we
violin
call
plays,
Fiona? I don't know.
violin
I feel
plays
like
Yeah, people
classical.
get upset. That's all we know is there's some upsettedness. So yeah, if you want to get into a fight, talk about it.
shout out to we got Ashley McIsaac, I think. Okay,
Fiddle
Jason Clark. He's in the room right now. Guitar. That's
One
you,
of the
buddy.
guitars.
Yeah, because Julian Brown. I'm not finished yet. I'm
All
not
right,
finished.
not finished yet.
Julian Brown. Guitar. I feel like I'm doing the.
Julian started as our bass player and then was away for a while and is back now as guitar.
Hey, I love this so much. Mark Rainey.
Can
He's-
you believe it?
He's
Mark?
got like the Rob Proust role. He's on keyboards.
Yeah, he's done it. He was originally in the chorus of the Flog, that song, so-called song, Flog. He was one of the choral
The lead.
members.
He was the
lead.
lead.
Yeah. Also from U of T. But then suddenly decided he's got to be in GUH still and wants to play keyboards and sing as well.
Well, yeah.
So,
There-
yeah.
They're singing
Nice.
in GUH,
Yeah.
just for the record here. Okay. Now, Craig Barnes, bass guitar.
Still-
And still managing the
Still management. That's
he's a
right. He is
management.
management.
Okay.
Craig
So-
Barnes is an anchor.
So send all your complaints.
Which is a funny job for a bicycle.
Yeah, that's right. It's really a funny job.
Craig Barnes. Okay, Colin Couch.
Yeah, that guy can
Yeah.
build things and play didgeridoo, but then he's on tuba in this one.
Tuba.
And he's an anchor.
And he's a good idea guy. We did a bunch of movies. We did music for movies, like soundtracks. and that was because of Colin. That was
What
Colin's
movies?
ideas.
Like,
We did a movie about bugs. I can't remember what it was called.
Microcosmos was one that already had a soundtrack, but we redid the soundtrack against the law.
The Battleship Potemkin.
Battleship Potemkin, La Voyage dans la Lune.
Georges Méliès, is that his name?
we did it. We did that Cinecycle,
Oh.
maybe.
jeez.
What was that Kenneth Anger movie?
I don't know that one.
The traveling eye of the cat.
Oh,
What
yeah,
was it?
that's right. Now I'm remembering it. The traveling eye of the cat.
That's Colin.
Yeah.
It's tuba and
Yeah.
Colin
ideas.
And Rick Paladoir would do things called a Super 8 festival at the Hart House, and we did music for many Super 8 films through Rick
Yes.
Paladoir.
Love this definitive ongoing history of GUH. Okay, John Jowett.
Jowett. JJ, they call him sometimes.
He's the newest
Trombone.
member. He's the newest member of GUH.
How new is he as a member?
Pretty new, like
Couple of years?
Yeah, without a doubt. I would play with him in Sandro Perry's band sometimes, but now seems to be GUH.
He's
What's
around.
What's euphonium? Like,
It looks like a small tuba.
Yeah.
It is held in the same fashion, but
And
it's
Brian
smaller.
used to play it as well.
Yeah.
The brass, a lot of the brass players.
Can't help but notice on your list that Jason Baird is missing.
Yes.
He wasn't on this record.
Oh, this is who's on the
yeah,
record?
because I
Oh,
got this from Bandcamp
right.
for the
Sorry.
for the album. Yeah.
Sorry,
so
my mistake.
I can't
no, it's
help
okay.
me.
That's okay.
We're missing
How
him
dare
too.
you question my crack research?
Nick Clayton's probably
How dare you?
nominated.
This is
Bram
an
Crichton.
award-nominated podcast. How dare you?
Trevor
Okay.
Hawk.
Andrew Henry. Do we know this guy? Drums.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And,
we know
Blake
him well.
Howard drums. Okay,
That
to
was
wrap it all up
Frankie's.
here.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Is there anything we haven't put on the definitive record here about GUH that we should hear? Anything? This is you guys. All your mics are open. Is there anything we should know? The listenership should know. Shout out to Scruff Connors.
I mean, there's so many things. We can't even begin to say them. That's the whole problem. Where we would be a busking band sometimes. We play down on Queen Street sometimes. Sometimes we would be a band at the Prop House. Sometimes we would be at this place called the Prop House that John Bentley
On the Toronto
Sometimes
Island
we were
Ferry.
other bands.
We would be in
Some-
other
like,
You
bands.
play on the ferry.
On the Toronto Island Ferry. we
Sometimes
played.
we'd be in the Toronto airport when somebody who has also gone, Ethel Muth, is gone from this plane. Where she was coming back from Korea, and there would be GUH there somehow in the Pearson International
That's right.
Airport.
We played on the Chief in Squamish, BC.
Yeah, that's
Up on the
Strongest
mountain.
Chief.
On the mountain.
Yeah, we hauled instruments up there, very difficult ascent,
Yeah.
and played there. And then people were like, "Why don't you guys shut up? We're on the top." of
Yeah.
That's an incredible.
What's your
We got
legacy?
heckled on a mountain.
Like when we look back at GUH, and I'm hoping we educate, thousands of Torontonians that this is happening in your own backyard. Like if you lack awareness about it because you only know music because it was played on the radio or it was on Much Music, there are a lot of people who, if it doesn't make, and again, I'm kind of dating myself for the Gen Xers, but if it didn't make much music or it wasn't played on terrestrial radio, it's completely off their radar. And let's face it, GUH is unlike some of the bands we've talked about, like Real Statics or whatever, didn't have a lot of radio play or much music exposure, right? So we're going to educate a lot of people that GUH exists. So if you want to leave people here, before I play another great Toronto band, Lowest of the Low, or a cover anyways of Lowest of the Low, what is the legacy of GUH? Like maybe we'll close with each of you telling me like what you want people to know and remember about GUH. I
like that when you go see a GUH show, you're not when you go play a GUH show. For me, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how this, like, we have a bunch of songs, but guaranteed we play them differently every
It's
night.
like jazz.
It's kind of like that. I don't like to call it that because that immediately you say that word and then now you know well you're not
We
you're not
opened a
as good
can
as
of
that
worms of
guy
that
or
one,
that guy.
right.
You know, it's like
Right.
we're I think we're influenced by all sorts of different music. I still consider us punk rock, but
That's interesting, right? Because it's this the punk rock is an attitude, right?
we're just doing what we want to do.
Like you do it yourself.
We're doing a lot of it ourselves, and we're a band that's not afraid of mistakes. I think. I'm speaking for a lot of other people here, but I think not the mistakes, but obviously we learn from a lot of mistakes. But we're not afraid to try things, and we're not afraid to try them live. We would, we don't do it as much anymore, but we would like people would bring in music to a show, and we sheet music and say, okay, we're going to play this tonight, and like you had, the first time you're playing it is on stage at the ultrasound, and so you had to be able to read music at least kind of and quickly. So and sometimes that would work, and sometimes that would fail miserably, and you just have to
learn
be
from
ready
it.
that who knows what's going to happen.
Workshop it or whatever. But it's funny because the word punk rock I find interesting because there are some people out there who think that's a sound, right? Like, oh, it's fast, hard, whatever. It's a sound. That's the sound of punk rock. But really, punk rock is an attitude. I think I had this chat with Don Pyle, actually, speaking of great drummers. And, Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet, like a surf rocky type outfit or whatever. But it has a very punk rock ethos or whatever. And Guz got cut from similar cloth.
Yeah, if you want to talk about it like that, it is punk rock. Right.
That word, punk.
It is, yeah.
I mean, we're not obviously punk rock, but I grew up, that was the music that really affected me, and I know it affected Henry, and the rest of you guys, I don't know.
Hey, did you like the Raving Mojos?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had Blair Richard Martin on the program because there's not enough. Similar to you, actually, there's not enough out there on the Raving Mojos. They don't. Unlike you though, where I can listen to. You don't know what an MP3 is. I can listen. Like I just played a whole whack MP3. We can hear you guys. Good luck finding a whole whack of MP3s of the Raving Mojos. Yeah. Good luck.
I play with Lopez, Michael Phillips, who was the bass player in the kind of the second iteration of the Raving Mojos. And he was in Jughead, and he was in all sorts of old bands. So yeah,
we distributed records for Jughead in Europe.
Yeah, that's true. We did.
This is the moment like where you can just spit something out and to blow some minds on the way out.
I really liked in the early days. We are the bills that we'd play on would be very, very weird because it would be us and like political incorrect or so, or the bunch of fucking goofs and
Project 9.
Project 9. And so it'd be like a funk band and a weird bagpipe instrumental band and a hardcore band. And what's going on? But I loved that. You got to see a lot of different kind of music you're exposed to.
So how long will Go run? Like, are we going to be hearing Gun in 15, 20 years?
That was the question a while ago, and I think it was forever, like not forever, but for the lifetime. That is what it is, and we may fall apart. Perhaps somebody younger will play music, but the idea was until we draw the last breath, there is that is the idea. And the other thing that has to be said is is inside of every band, and anyone we play with, I tell them later after I've played with them for a while, it's like, you're secretly in and they're like, I knew it. But that's the secret.
I love closing on that sentiment. There's a little in all of us. Right?
Yeah.
Go see a doctor.
That's what Danny Wilde used to say to Brian Cram at the Winchester Street or the bar there. It's like, if you're sick, go to the hospital. That's what he kept saying to Brian, and it was true. Both Danny Wilde, Brian gone, but they knew each other intimately. And yeah, if you are sick, go to the hospital.
Andrew Henry, that's great advice for everybody. If you're hungry, get yourself something to eat, and if you're dirty, then go take a bath, right?
If your balls itch, scratch them. Sorry.
That's all. No, listen, I'll fix that in post, okay? No ball scratching on this very esteemed program. We're not on the radio either. That's
right,
it, yeah. So, Andrew Henry, thanks for reaching out and making this happen. Thanks for spotting me at the Geary Street Art Crawl. I'll be back there next year. I think that's a very cool vibe there, man.
Yeah,
we love playing it.
It is amazing.
Now that I know you, can I just play with you? Like, I don't know. I don't have any instrumentation.
We have no say over it.
Yeah, you have to just come and do it.
It is a public space. Like you can't
Yes,
stop
That's
me.
right. We cannot
No.
stop you.
No.
And I would also like to say, if you are sick and go to the hospital, don't expect them to help you anymore. That's the other sad part about December.
I'm not co-signing that one.
December 15th, 2024. Don't expect anyone to help you. That's the other
Depends
part.
how sick you are, actually. It depends if you're really sick, they'll still help you.
No, it isn't true. The people want to help you. That's the problem, is that there are
Right.
many beautiful,
Right.
compassionate people who want to help you, but there are others who would try to stop you and laugh in your face because you are actually in a terrible position, and they will laugh and keep laughing.
Well, fuck those people. So Andrew
Yeah.
Henry, Andrew Henry, I hope it's not going to be freezing rain on your way back to Guelph. Blake Howard,
Yes.
I like the cut of your jib.
Sarah.
Anyone told you that before?
Yes.
Just Mr. Burns. Okay. Jason Clark, like I feel like you're the strong silent type, but you have all the details. So it's great to meet you, buddy.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
He's got a good look to him, right? You should
He's
be
the
an actor.
handsome one.
I was gonna say,
Certainement.
how come he's so much better looking than you guys?
Yeah, we don't really like
It's
to talk
not.
about that.
It's not the luck of the draw.
And that, shout out to Stu Stone. And that
Yeah.
brings us to the end of our. This is a milestone episode. Are you honored that you're
1600.
Number
sitting here?
1600.
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that. I love it.
I love the square
You
root.
noticed 16, 19. You noticed those numbers showing up, didn't you?
Well, I saved it. I saved this episode for you. That's for sure. And that brings us to the end of our 1600th show. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. I'm on Blue Sky at Toronto Mike. Go to Bandcamp and search for GUH, G-U-H, and then buy everything. Just whip out the credit card and go nuts.
in every country.
In every country.
In every country.
Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery. That's Palma Pasta. That's recyclemyelectronics.ca. That's Moneris and Redley Funeral Home. See you all tomorrow when my guest is Jeff Farberman. Is that right? Is that the right name? I would hate to get that wrong. I'm actually going to check in real time while our new closing theme wraps up. It's not Jeff Farberman. It's so fucking embarrassing.
Wow, that is embarrassing.
Paul Farberman, okay? Jeff's must be his cousin or something. Fuck that guy. Paul Farberman
The
is my guest
cousins.
tomorrow. See you all then. Oh, Don Pyle.
Love it.
This is Don Pyle.
Yes, shadowy man.
Yeah. I have Don Pyle's hardware case in my garage that Laura Pittican gave me. With amazing old Reed Diamond artwork on it that I get to look at every day.